Now Brazil, and an unusual report from the biggest and richest city in South America, Sao Paolo. 30 years ago, this was a quiet provincial town. Today it's a sprawling metropolis of 8 million people and the center of the nation's wealth. Sao Paulo's meteoric growth has inevitably brought problems. Every year, 300,000 poor people flood into the city, lured by dreams of wealth and success. Most of them end up in squalor. Sao Paulo is a planner's nightmare, where traffic is chaotic, social services inadequate. But still the people come, because Sao Paulo's where the money is. And where there's money, of course, there are banks. The rest of this report concerns a remarkable experiment by one particular Sao Paulo bank, Bradesco. Bradesco, with 500 branches, is in fact the largest private banking empire in Latin America, with interests in such diversified enterprises as tourism, hotels, house building, transport, insurance, and agricultural research. Its total assets exceed $700 million. The Bradesco experiment is taking place here, 14 miles outside Sao Paulo. The Brazilians call it Cidade de Deus, City of God. It's the ultimate in company towns, where the bank's paternalism reaches into every aspect of its workers' lives. As you might expect from a town owned by a bank, security is strict, and nobody gets in or out without a thorough screening by company guards. In keeping with the city's name, a statue of Christ dominates the town, and the people are expected to lead good Christian lives. Another important statue is this mule carrying a load of firewood on its back. It's the bank emblem and symbolizes the virtue of patient hard work. And yet another symbol of the work ethic is this fine old steam locomotive. In the City of God, the lives of the inhabitants are controlled almost from cradle to grave from this building, the Bradesco headquarters. The sign over the entrance says, "Only work produces wealth," the company philosophy which every worker has to live by. A third of Bradesco's staff of 20,000 work in the city, but only 1,600 actually live here. Most of the work is naturally concerned with the business of banking, but not all. Many bank employees work entirely at running the town's services, which include low-cost and even free meals for the workers. Nine floors above this staff restaurant lives the bank's founder and benevolent despot, Amador Aguiar, self-made millionaire, recluse, and unflinching Calvinist with a code of behavior to match. For the workers, the ground rules are clear: short haircuts, no beards, ties and white shirts, no gambling, no drinking, and no communists. In exchange for this degree of loyalty and conformity from its workers, the bank has taken pains to make the City of God an attractive place to live in. It may look like a forbidden fortress from the outside, but inside it's quiet, uncrowded, and pleasantly landscaped. Everything, in fact, that Sao Paulo is not. Housing in the town is good. There are 180 villas for families and several blocks of flats to accommodate unmarried workers. The only drawback seems to be that they're all the same. Uniformity, in fact, is the chief objection to life in the City of God, and despite the advantages over life in Sao Paulo, there's been a high turnover of residents throughout the town's 10-year history. One man who likes the corporate town is 30-year-old Leonildi Andrioli. He's lived in the City of God for several years with his wife and 2 children. From the bank's point of view, Mr. Andrioli is an ideal employee. He's worked for the bank for 12 years and is now manager of the City of God Social Security Department. His wife Laura worked for the bank for 14 years and only stopped with the arrival of the second baby. The Andriolis enjoy a standard of living comparable with any middle-class family in Europe. By Latin American standards, they're extremely well off. Mr. Andrioli earns about $400 a month, which is only 2/3 of what he could expect for doing the same job on the outside. But he pays only $60 a month for a comfortable house, and that includes the cost of water and electricity, as well as a gardening service. The same house in Sao Paolo would cost 3 times as much, without the extras. Mr. Andrioli likes the City of God so much he believes other companies should follow Bradesco's example. He doesn't have to worry about his children's future. The bank is looking after their education, and even their recreation in first-class play facilities like these. Because banking is a way of life in the town, these children have already begun to learn rudimentary banking concepts in school. As teenagers, they'll graduate directly from high school into jobs in the bank. But advanced students in such subjects as computer programming and management theory must work at Bradesco for 3 years or repay the company for their education. At weekends, the City of God takes on the air of an expensive country club, with the modern swimming pool as the focal point of a luxurious complex of sprawling lawns and playgrounds. People usually shop for what they need at the bank's cooperative supermarket. All the food is grown on the bank's owned farms, and larger items like furniture come from Bradesco's own factories. One of the most unusual aspects of shopping in the City of God is that nobody uses money. All transactions are carried out with credit cards. The amount people spend is deducted from their next paycheck. Bradesco has tried to design its town in such a way that it's completely unnecessary for the people ever to go outside. Nobody is under any illusions about why they're there. The bank is everything. But for those who are prepared to obey the rules, the material rewards are substantial. The only service not provided is burial. That has to be done on the outside. Bradesco's theory seems to be that if you can eliminate insecurity without promoting complacency, you get efficiency, and it appears to be working. Despite the high turnover of residents, the city has grown rapidly, and Bradesco is undoubtedly prospering. In fact, the bank is so pleased with the experiment, it's planning a whole new City of God 100 miles northeast of Sao Paolo. The belief is that if it can work with 1,600 people, it can also work for 16,000.